We've come to chapter 15. Many of us have had moments in our lives that are beyond our control, that have changed everything for us, and we've had to find a new direction from that moment on, find out who we were, how we belonged in the world, what our purpose was, because everything we thought we were going for stopped. I'm not going to describe the events in the chapter right now. They're about as clear as can be, but I saw those headlights coming at my car over and over and over again. They just wouldn't quit. Some of the things that I didn't remember and didn't write in that chapter, I remembered later. They're in another chapter, in another book I can share with you that you may be interested in, where as time went on, you know, there's different reactions when we come to a moment of severe loss in life and grief. The first one, and these don't have to be in this order, they can go round and around. The first one is normally a type of shock. I was in shock. I didn't remember a thing at the scene of the accident for 3 months. What I wrote to you, some of the things I wrote to you in this chapter were memories that came back to me. Because when I was in the ambulance, I heard them saying they had to get this needle in me because I was in shock. And they had to get something in there, adrenaline or something, I don't know. The second reaction is denial. I didn't really have much chance to do much denial. This was pretty straightforward. My grief, you're going to see in the next chapters, went in and out, and I've seen people experience the same thing, even at the loss of something like a pet cat, where they feel terrible, then they feel a little better. They think they're over it, and then it gets worse again. Then it gets better, then it gets worse. Another stage is, and that's, I think, coming in and out of denial and in and out of shock. Then there's blame. I wasn't one to really blame. I didn't know who I could blame. I believed God was in charge of my life. I didn't blame God for this. I didn't believe the devil was strong enough to blame the devil. There just didn't seem to be anybody to blame. Accidents happen. And I had to struggle with this for a long time, with these questions. But I know at the end of this book, and if I have a chance to write further, you'll see that for me, I had to learn to lay the story aside and the questions aside. What, who is clear, but why is a question I had to learn to give up. Because I learned that the question was destroying me, because after I recovered and got over the shock and got over the denial and moved more back into ordinary life, I was able to think more about some of the great things, and I was thinking about why. And it was starting to eat away at me from the inside, and I had to let it go. I knew to survive and be a human being and live on this earth again, I had to let it go. So there's shock, there's denial, there's blame, and there's other stages that finally lead to acceptance. And that's when I gave up, saying why I had to accept things as they were, as hard as it was. And I'm not telling anybody, wherever stage they're at in their grief today, they have to come to accept today. For me, I had to have the chance and the air to breathe, to walk through the steps bit by bit for my own personal healing.